A text message from Matt Thompson. He was meeting with a couple customers. He's going to be on his way over in a few minutes. So we've got a limited amount of time that we want to go over because we want to infringe upon the Jug Leaders BOF that's happening right after this. So what we thought we would do is kind of do a panel session. We have Kirk Pepperdine.
Let's bring we have an extra mic here.
Okay.
Who wants it? Dick?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah, come on in.
Come on. Make me work. Yes.
Yeah, you betcha.
And we have Darwin. And what we thought we'd do, we're recording this. And last year, when we did this Champions BOF, there was a lot of action items and stuff. People were able to capture. So if you have questions, hopefully Matt will be in the room here shortly and he can answer them. We'll be able to discuss it on the mailing list later. If we don't know the answer, we'll go find the answer and we'll try to address it on the mailing list. So, those of you that have questions that would like to give your comments about Java 1 or whatever, we have 2 mics on either side, and we're just going to open it up to open session. And first of all, we want to introduce our speakers and let you guys tell them about who you are, how you got here, whatever. Okay, so Ian, why don't you start first?
Thanks, Aaron. Ian Darwin. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I've been involved in Java for a really long time, like about almost 12 years. And I got here because I accepted an invitation from this guy over here to join this newly being founded, back then, a couple of years ago, program called the Java Champions program. And that's basically why I'm here. Maybe you should start off by giving us giving some of the other people in the audience just a rundown on the program itself and why.
That was the first question I had.
Okay, so Java Champions was started in 2005 with the 10th anniversary, and the idea was to get a group of external people together in a program where we can have conversations. The Java engineering team, we can have conference calls, we can be on mailing lists, and we can bounce ideas off of the community.
I don't mind using it, but where we set it, yeah?
They haven't worked with the subsystem, that we're out in the real world working with developers to give us some feedback to some of the stuff that we're coming up with. So that's one of the reasons why we started Champions. Another reason is we wanted to recognize certain luminaries and leaders within the community, and we get a chance to talk with them, learn a little bit more about their communities, and to recognize them on a website and to invite them to some of the fun events that we do.
For that, we're grateful. But other than that, I look at Neil Gafter sitting over here, all the wonderful work he's done, continues to do, and Toto up here, Michael Hooterman back here, Stefan, all of these people are just doing, wonderful things to, make the Java ecosystem better for all of us.
Well, thank you, Kirk. And we have one more.
And sorry for the other guys here that I didn't mention.
Well, we all know each other from
but there's so many, there's about 100 now, isn't there?
Yes, there is 97 champions that we have in the program.
Yes.
And what's important to mention about the community is that Sun does not pick the champions. You as a community, we have a selection process that you as a community actually pick the champions, and we do review, and I can't tell you how many conversations we have on the mailing list about who comes into the community. So we had one more invited speaker, Dick Wall from Java Posse, So, Dick.
Hi, I guess Aaron invited me pretty early on in the thing. I kind of watched the Champions. I guess when I first got involved, I wasn't sure what it would end up being. Just kind of curious as to see what would happen with this this newly created thing. I think it shaped up really well. Sometimes I have trouble keeping up with the mailing list on a daily or weekly basis, but it has brought in some really, really top people, and I'm very, very happy and grateful to be a part of that. So, thanks.
Okay, so there's one other person I want to introduce, and that's my program manager, Nicole Scott. And for you, please stand up. So those of you see me on the mailing list, but Nicole, I actually talked to Nicole a lot about you guys, And we try to invite a lot of the Java champions to come speak at the Sun Tech Days program. And Nicole works with the Tech Days core team and works with the scheduling with Rag Srinivas, who's our evangelism CTO. And I was just over talking to a couple of champions that they still not here at the BOF yet, so I'm still waiting for them to come over. But we talked about it and said, well, you never invited me to come talk at a Sun Tech Days. You guys are invited to come and speak at a Sun Tech Days. We're in your town and we're in your region. And look at the Sun Tech Days website, and if it works out, contact me and we'll try to get you a session. So,
I'll just comment on Sun Tech Days. I've spoken at 2 Sun Tech Days, and I have to say that both experiences have been absolutely phenomenal. It's been a really wonderful thing to do. You know, the first time was in Johannesburg. We had lunch with James. We had dinner with James. I got some wonderful pictures. Don't worry, Nicole, they won't show up on the website anywhere. And you can tell that to James too. It's just been wonderful because you just have nice access contact to people who can really make a difference in the industry.
all right, great. Well, I'm still waiting for Matt Thompson. What I would like to do is that if you have a question or you want to talk about your experience with the program, since we are recording this, and I'd like to address these questions and share this information with people within Sun. If you have a question, come up to the mic, introduce who you are. If you're from a JUG or from community, please do that. I see one, so go.
I'm Michael Nascimento from Brazil, so Java, GSR 3.0, and other stuff. So my first question is to Dick. When are you going to hire all Java champions to Google? And
oh yes,
no, that's
yeah. Google champions. Yes, users list.
So what should I do? No, it's a serious comment I would like to make is there are a few things that I think we should have been involved in, such as the OpenJDK board that has been established. I think none of us knew about it, besides Fabiani, who was included in the board. And Java Facts, I think when we heard about it, was more of an announcement than an opportunity for us to provide input. So this is the kind of thing that I actually expected us to know before, so we could actually provide some useful input to some to guide. This is the comment I wanted to make.
Well, that's actually a good question. We did hold a conference call this week on Monday. Actually, it was scheduled for the week before. And these are good questions for Matt Thompson. Okay, so when he's in the room, you can address that. But no, seriously. But one of the things we had like 3 conference calls this last year, and we had 2 open source conference calls, and where Lori Tolson and Mark Reinfeldt were on the call. And you all, some of you that came into the program a little bit later, so you didn't have this opportunity, but the folks that were on the call, you're welcome to come and talk to the mic and talk about that, by the way. There was a lot of input that was gathered from those calls. And, you know, we talked about governance, we talked about licensing, whether GPL would be a good idea or not. And so your voice is heard. It takes a little while for it to bubble up, but that was one of the things we try to do with Java Champions, is to give the community the venue to talk about these issues. Okay, Klaus John.
One of the issues that came up last year, I'd like to address this year again, is does the geo know about the program? So all the local Sun officers, we communicate on the list, we communicate to corporate, but the local Sun office, and there are a lot of us from all over the world, actually when we speak to them, it's like, well, okay, you got this contact with corporate, and that's better than actually we have, and what is this program all about? And there's still a lot of fuss. So also again from Matt, and I know today we had a session with international press, and we also got to work on extending the program and how well known we are or not known. So we got to work on that as well, but Son, please do.
Klaus John, I want to thank you for coming by today at lunchtime. It was really good to have you all there. And we did have a press meeting, and we had a lot of the Jug leaders and Java champions were there. We're talking to the press, and it was really cool. And I was talking to other people earlier, is how you guys were answering the questions, but you were almost finishing each other's sentences while we were there. So there were a lot of tough questions by the press, and yes, your question needs to be answered by Matt. Why the geo is involved, but what I will say is that we did have a couple success stories this year. We did make some inroads into Greece, and we have a couple of contacts now in Greece that we did Developer Day in February, where we met two new Jug leaders, Paris Apostopoulos and Panos Kanostios, with the help of Dr. Heinz Kavutz, who couldn't be here, who actually lives in Crete and actually works with Kirk Pepperdine. So Kirk, if you can maybe say a little bit about the Greek community and what you've talked about with Kirk about doing your training in the community in Crete.
Well, I mean, I don't think our training in Crete is appropriate for this forum because it's more of a commercial interest, but I know that, Heinz was very keen on, getting the Greek community involved in the Jug programs and stuff like that. And I think, is Paris here? He's not here. He can probably speak better. Why don't you go up to the mic?
So Paris, why don't you go and talk to the mic and describe how that Developer Day and the issues that you had with the local team.
Do you want the politically correct answer or the non-politically?
You're a Java champion. You're allowed to give the politically incorrect answer.
This is Bob. You can say whatever you want.
Okay. Officially, we were not invited on the event. We were invited after we have made contact with the US team. And that's the issue of Klassian, as he said, that they're not familiar either with the Java Champions program or the JAG program or the JAG Leaders program. So the whole thing happened after I was starting to pushing in mailing list and being non-politically correct. That way, it worked for Greece. I don't know for others. I don't know if you work with politically correct manners, but for me, that's the only way. So if you all have issues and problems, try to push things in mailing lists, in contacts, whatever you have. That's the only way. Sorry for the answer is not very happy, but that's reality.
Yeah, so I will say in defense of, we're kind of spread thin in Europe, and it's, we have the software people in Prague, and so we have a lot of sales and marketing teams that are in each of the countries. So the real challenge is whether or not we can get the local team to work with us and to work with the Jug leaders. Of course, we have to find the Jug leaders first.
Nobody accused the US team.
I know, but this is a global problem that we have for the audience here, that around the world, Sun is a very big company, and we have offices that we have to work with and make contacts. So having a Jug leader is a start, and then we can get Reggie and the evangelism team to work with that, because Reggie really does know a lot of the geos that ask us to come and talk, at their events with their customers. So the starting list, the starting point is the mailing list on Java.net, and coming to the Jug leaders mailing list, I think has been really helpful. Somebody walked in the room I want to introduce. His name is Rags Srinivas. He's the evangelism CTO. Rags actually helps review some of the content for the Sun Tech Days programs. Actually works with some of the champions on their sessions. Okay.
It's been great.
Okay.
Rags, maybe you can comment on how you feel the Java champions have helped contribute to Sun Tech Days. You give them
Put you on the spot, right?
How to use that.
Okay.
Put me on the spot.
That's right. Walked you.
Yeah, I think it's been great. Mainly because people in France want to listen to people who can speak French. That's one of the things. But I think that being the local, what is important for the local geo, what is relevant to the local geo, some local case studies which developers can relate to, and so on. So I think the global, act local is working really well as far as the Java Champions is concerned. And I think it's really a good mix. You know, giving some practical slant, you know, to whatever we are talking is really helps out. Okay.
Yeah, so, in addition to that, I'd like to echo, my name is Reggie Hutchinson. I run the evangelism team. I think more echoing what Rag said, but I think in terms of the champions being involved with our SunTech Days and some of the other activities, it's really opened up the community, the opportunity for the judges to participate with Sun on an ongoing basis. I think the first time we actually had the champions involved was in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And it was actually pretty good because we were able to have individuals talk about community issues, about Sun technology issues, and also for us to actually get to know the champions on a one-on-one basis. I think we spent that entire night, about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, talking about technology, how we can improve the Java Champions program, and so forth. So it gives us a real one-on-one opportunity to share ideas, move forward in the community, and change things going on a global basis.
Great. Do you have anything to say about that, South Africa?
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I think we had Rags here like frightened because we had to do a candlelight Q&A prior to the session.
That's the first time I remember that we lost power when the Java Champions spoke.
That was Heinz' fault. He kicked the powerhouse.
And more than that, let me just add that the Tech Days is one thing, but I think the Java user group visitations that we've been doing around the globe as well. In New York, I see Frank up there in New York, and some of the other places that we've been going to. It's really an excellent opportunity to really sit down and get to know one another one-on-one. I mean, Kirk, I see him like everywhere around the globe, where we can actually sit down and have real conversations about technologies, the Java program, and so forth. So it's really, you know, community. It's about one-on-one communication and actually moving forward in terms of ideas going on.
Yeah, I think you struck on a point. It's like this one-on-one back and forth community conversations that we've had have had some effect within Sun because we've been able to deliver hard messages to Sun. For instance, early on we had long discussions about litigation and about Sun's being the Sun lawyers being overprotective of the Java branding, even though we're out in the community using Java to the brand to actually promote the brand and make it stronger. And of course, having a name like JavaPerformanceTuning.com, you can imagine that we've probably been a target. And it offered us a channel to say, look, this doesn't really make sense because we're only helping you. We're helping build a community. And that message got through, and now we're able to more freely, help build the community and say, yeah, we're part of the Java community.
So it just so happens.
Like, why do you choose Java Posse as a name as opposed to like the Java,
Well, actually, the JavaCast was already taken. That was the podcast that didn't work out.
Right.
We got 4 episodes in, and it kind of collapsed. And so after that, I just wrote down a list of possible names and went through the first one. The .com wasn't taken already. So.
but you choose a name with Sun Legal in mind coming after you?
Not really, and I didn't think about that until the thread came up on the Java Champions list, so I followed that one pretty carefully.
But there's other people that have been building communities that have abandoned their websites because of that.
So it just so happens that we have Tiki Dare from our Java branding. So Tiki, I want to thank Tiki. I sent something to the users list recently that the legal team, I've been asking for this, of course they've been working on it for quite some time. An actual document that developers can go to and kind of get a little primer on intellectual property laws in the US. And it's something I had seen it when I worked at eBay. And it was I hope to be very helpful addressing some of your questions. But Tiki, would you like to come up and just introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tiki Dare. It sounds like too many of you know me already.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the best thing you could have said is that at least some of you feel listened to. And I want to just let you know that I'm listening. And I'm just a resource here for you. Of course, I work for Sun Microsystems, and I do need to protect the brand. The goal of protecting that brand, of course, is to protect it as a way of ensuring compatibility for the community. And we want to make sure that, you know, that you are listened to. Trademark law doesn't always keep up with what you're doing, but I want to be a resource for you, and that's why I'm on the Champions alias. And you are the smart, the talented, the dedicated, you're the creative and the elegant. So I just want this to be your night, but I'm here if you have ideas and discussions. And in addition to our website, there's a trademark crash course out there, and Ubuntu's trademark guidelines are also excellent if you need that kind of resource.
Thank you, Tiki. Does anybody else have any questions? Manfred? Manfred Boser from Vancouver Island Jug, right?
Yeah, I'm not a Java champion, but maybe someday I'll be qualified enough, but that's probably a long time away.
You got a good start by showing up, okay?
I was just wondering, I'm kind of experiencing the same problem that Klaas Jan was mentioning, that my local jug is kind of like isolated from the people that live in, like, work as for Sun in Victoria, because they're just hardware, right? And then there's Vancouver that does software as well, but that's sort of across the border, so that's also kind of off. With the whole open sourcing of Java and like supposedly expanding the community, is there any thought of like pushing it out and say, well, this is the Java and not Sun, they're Java champions, to push it forward to go, well, you Oracle guys, you're also pushing Java, you should know about those Java champions, and you IBM guys, you should also know about those. Could you also like kind of, is there any way to like push this further and like move it out to that it goes beyond just being like a sort of secondary helper of
Well, Manfred, we got to start somewhere, right?
I know, but like you gotta have big visions to go somewhere.
Okay.
Right?
So the fact that we can all get you guys on a mailing list and talking to each other and talking to us, I think that's a really, you know, that's hard enough. But you know, we're always open. You know, we don't exclude anybody to come and talk on the list. If you're with Oracle or JetBrains or whatever, you know, come talk to us. In the end, you know, this is more of a Jug Leaders question for the Jug Leaders spot. But you know, if we can get speakers to come to a Java users group, it's good for the community because it gets people to the Jug meetings and it gets people talking to each other. But since you're Jug Leader, I would like Reggie to talk, to say a few words about our roadshow and the efforts of our evangelists to reach out to the Jugs and speak at Jugs. So Reggie, you do it?
Once again, I don't know if that answers this question, but yeah, so I manage the technology evangelist team. We do all the tech days, a ton of developer activities and so forth, in addition to visiting Jugs around the planet, right? And we do that on a request basis, and when we're in a general area, we always try to find champions and Jugs to actually visit. And many of you have requested that we've been to your Jugs. The idea being that when we come there, usually you request a topic, or it could just be a free-for-all, just a conversation about Sun technology, Sun products, and things of that nature. That's pretty much it, but I don't know that we answered this question. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I think the question was, to broaden the Java Champions effort and charter. And I think really, when we started the Champions program, the idea was to bring these bright folks together and let them become viral, right? And viral was whatever they thought was positive and productive, that's what it would be. And so when we talk about broadening the Java Champions program, it's really about the champions deciding on what direction they actually want to go in. We created the group, brought you together, lots of good conversation and productive efforts have taken place. If you want to broaden it, it'll happen, but it'll happen because the group wants it to happen, and actually on a viral space.
There's something I like to add to that. You can bring together a group of people. You can put a sticker on it, but to my opinion, it's all about attention. Attention you give to what is said to you, and the attention that you get from people who tell you something. For example, when I started out with the NLJug, I tried to contact certain corporate a couple of times, and I think Nicole can recall this. I left her voicemails, And it was very difficult to get in touch with actually the Sun Jugs program. The moment actually that Aaron came on board and started coordinating the program, so he was listening to us and harassing people inside Sun, you saw actually that the program got started. And that's something that needs to happen, and you're talking about IBM or other companies, in other companies as well. And some companies open up and some companies stay closed. But I think it's very essential that either Aaron or somebody else needs to be listening and needs to be one or two persons between this community of Java champions, and yeah, you need to fuel them.
I think you make an excellent point. Let me give you a case and example. And that is, there's a jug in Athens that had an organization, and they were trying to get in contact with Sun. And the way they did that was via the local Athens Sun office, right? And let's understand how Sun works. That local Sun office was it's a sales office, sales and marketing office, right? And it just so happens that you know, they actually did want to talk to the judge, but they just didn't have it in their charter at that time to have a conversation with and go forward with events and things of that nature. So my point being this, that is, Aaron and our group actually took ownership of the JUG program about 2 years ago. And the idea being is that we should be the focal point for any type of communication and so forth, going back to Klaus John's point, and that is, we are listening. And Aaron is a great leader in that respect, in terms of beating on my door and other folks' door to make sure things happen. So the idea is that we are the focal point. We've taken stewardship of the program, and I think we want to move it forward. And I think conversations like this are the ones that help us do that, right? And I think the Athens experience was really actually pretty great, because we actually understood the problem, the mechanics of it all, and I think we solved it and we moved forward from that.
I'll also add on the microphone and just talk, but I read everything you guys say. I read everything I know. I look at your blogs. I Google you. I know everything that you're doing.
Oh, you're that's very nice.
And so when you send me a question,
how you translate it from different languages.
You want to do a developer day, you got some issues. I print it off and I stick it on Reggie's monitor so you can't escape. Okay? And then I go looking for him. And I do the same thing with Matt.
So you're the stalker.
Yes. So Reggie.
Thankfully, I'm nowhere close to Aaron.
That's probably good. I beat up rags too.
My name is Andreas Schaefer, and I'm active in the LJN and otherwise in Java. And so the LJN normally has 20 to 30 people attending, maybe more, I don't know, I don't count them, but we have 60 million people in Los Angeles, so we miss a lot. And I'm not that sure if the Java Champions program, if it only focus on the LJN, would reach. And for example, Marco does tape all the sessions, and if we could put the session online, then we maybe reach more than just the 20, 30 people that come, and let's say 10 come regularly. So I think if Sun could provide some space and bandwidth to host local recording of such sessions,
I volunteer Google Video. Seriously.
Thank you, Neil.
Seriously, you know, why not upload this stuff to Google Video?
Yeah. There's a few initiatives. I mean,
it's free, and you know, put an hour-long presentation. It's not a problem. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
So I want to say something about the Los Angeles, Jeff. Is that where you're from?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've been trying to contact Los Angeles, Jeff. I actually had some emails with Marco. I can't remember his last name. But we've talked to him, and we've also talked to Brian Masso that runs a website called SoCal Code Camp. And we'd like to do more events, maybe a developer day down in Los Angeles area. Marco is actually here at JavaOne. I haven't met him yet, but we did arrange for him to get a conference pass to JavaOne, because we'd like to reach out to the Los Angeles Jug and get you guys involved in the Java.net Jugs community, because that is the primary focal point. And we don't, it's hard because Java user groups, there's thousands of you guys out there, and you're all over the place. You're a very distributed organization, so it's kind of hard to get the word out. Come talk to us on the Jug Leaders mailing list. And I have had a couple conversations with Marco. But you know, as you get on the list, we talk to a couple of the Jug Leaders, you know, it's, some are more involved than others. And the Java user group community is a huge community, and they're very distributed. They do their own thing. And a lot of times they look to Sun and say, you know, well, why isn't our Jug, you know, that good? Well, it's really up to you guys. We're here to help, but you guys need to get together and support your local Jug, seek them out. We're working on better tools to help you find your local Jug on Java.net. We used to be on developers.sun. There wasn't that much interaction. That's why we came to Java.net, so we can have the mailing list to talk to you all. So, come and talk to me after. Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Neil. Yeah, my name's Neil Gafter. I've only been a member of the Java Champions programs for, I think, a couple of months now. But I want to say it's really an honor to be able to talk with the thought leaders of the Java community like I can now. But there's a sense in which it hasn't really lived up to my expectations, so I have a question. And the question is, what's the difference between a champion, a hero, and a superhero? and when do I get my powers?
You already have your powers. You already have your powers. Everybody knows you. It's your Neil Gap. Just click your heels.
We're actually, I think I remember the first time I went to the Silicon Valley Jug meeting, and I talked to Nicole, and I said, you know, talking to Vans, we should go over their meeting and see what they have to say. I think Adobe Flex was talking that night and stuff. You know, we just want to show up. We had a bunch of stuff to give away. You know, we'll just show up, and then it's like I talked to you all there, and said, we're going to get something there. So we did get the glass fish team there, and we had this whole entourage of glass fish engineers giving presentations, and actually, you know, it was good for them too, because they could get out and talk to you, and I talked to them afterwards, and we had a couple of them that did a couple of videos for the JavaOne hands-on labs, and it's like they're not used to getting out. Engineers, they're not used to talking in front of people. So it's really hard to find that special person that can do that in front of people. That they can do code and talk about their shortcuts while they're working with the audience. So, good question. I'm glad we're recording this. And I don't know the answer, but I will find out. That's all I can do. Any other questions? Felipe Gaucho.
Okay, I'm Felipe Gaúcho. I'm a kind of volatile Jug leader because I'm Brazilian, but I'm living in Switzerland. And if Mr. Gafner or any other brilliant Java champion wants to visit my poor community in Brazil, I give you the powers.
Brazilian powers. You don't have to wear a Brazilian cape.
Well,
okay.
That's actually a point I wanted to go on. If you look around in the room, we have people from Brazil, Philippines, Europe, US, but actually there are parts of the world that are currently missing or trying to get on the program, like Africa, we saw the thing in the keynote, like Asia, we have Singapore probably around, France is not here at the moment, but he's around. But how about getting into China, getting into India, getting into the areas where Java is being used?
Where's Naveen?
And how can we bridge that gap as well?
My name is Naveen, and actually we sent out 64 nominations for across the region. Since, as Aaron told me, we can only submit the nomination. The call of who has to be a champion is your call. That's the team's call here. Culturally in Asia and most parts of India, if you're blogging, it means you have a little more time, more than required. Okay? And if you work for a large IT services company, it means your boss is not working you enough. That means per hour, he could make a little more money out of you. So it reflects very differently. So some folks do it no matter what, which is good. A lot of the people who affect key decisions don't have the time. The IT infrastructure is great, but the rest of the infrastructure of the cities are bad. So imagine you wake up at 7:30 in the morning, try and drive to work on 1.5 hour way, get to work at 9, get back home at 9. Get home to see your wife, kids, spouse, sweetheart, anyone. After 10:30, start doing a little bit of coding and tinkering around what you want to do on a personal basis. At 12 or 11:30, shut down and wake up again at 6. You have very little time. So if your dimension of criteria for selecting a Java champion is only a blog, you probably may not get enough of them in Asia. In India, you cannot. It will be very, very few and far between. And the people who will blog will not necessarily be the Java champions you are seeking for. So the request will be, and as you all find a consensus, is there are people who are heads of universities who affect lives and the way Java is going to go. There are people who affect corporations that are like a CIO of TCS, which employs more than 60,000 developers. 40,000 of them will be on Java. But he or she cannot have a say. So the consensus, what do you think is the parameter to address that market, rather than I having any thoughts? Actually, that's the part in that market where it's a challenge to find someone that will meet the criteria you seek.
So Naveen did a very good job at introducing himself. Naveen, you need to tell the audience what you do for math in India.
Actually, I work for the developers in Asia. I happen to get paid by Sun. They will pay my tickets. My job is essentially to give the voice of reason from the developer's perspective to Sun. So many a time my conversations are not exactly this polite. It's very, very hostile in environments which I'm thrown out of. The reason why I believe this is crucial is I'm the voice of Asia there, along with my co-workers and colleagues and friends. I would say JP Romel. So when we're talking about the effect Java Champions have had on Sun, you've had a profound effect. So you have 54,000 students